spies need good handlers when they're out on a mission, and Bar of Blood, which is a spy-fi show, also had two very good handlers on set, Gaurav Verma and Bilal Siddiqi, the two men that in a way pull the strings on the business side as well as on the creative side. Gaurav, safe to say that you are the king's man on the set. It's a comfort zone for you, isn't it? You're a Red Chillies insider.
Yeah, safe to say. I think with a lot of responsibility as well.
Sure.
I think if you have so much of trust and faith kind of put on your shoulders, I think you have to probably go out and execute with that much onus and that much belief.
Who took the first step? Where did the idea? Was it Shahrukh who said, "Yaar, banate iske upar show," or did it come from Bilal, or how did it work out?
It's a very funny story. It's actually a fun story. I think Bilal,
Actually, I think so. When Red Chillies wanted to expand their relationship with Netflix beyond just licensed work, they wanted to get into originals, and that time only Sacred Games had been announced, I think. So it so happened that Bard of Blood, the rights were with another company for a film adaptation, and they were about to expire for whatever reasons. It didn't pan out with them, and we were in the washroom. I mean, we would before that just interact as a hello or hi while passing by, and just
not before the washroom.
Before.
Just
But yeah, in the washroom we had like our backs to each other. We are minding our own business, and he just asked me what's happening with your book, because I think he has a lot of friends in the industry, and he knew the rights were lapsing. So I told him that the rights are kind of getting done. So he said, "What do you think of it as a series?" So I said, "Of course, it can lend itself to a series." So that's how it just started. Just like 30 seconds of us doing a business in the washroom, and then we actually sat down to making the book into a pitch, which we wanted to send out to Netflix. On that pitch, Mr. Khan sat with us and gave us his inputs before we sent it across, and he was very clear that we'll send this pitch across, but I'm not making any calls. If it gets through, it gets through on its own merit. If it doesn't, then we'll send something else. But yeah, we made that pitch. It took us a few months, 3-4 months, and then we sent it across, and Netflix picked it up, I think, a month later.
Yeah.
What are the chances that when you were writing the book, did you ever imagine that this would get turned into a full-blown video format movie or web series?
When I was writing it, I didn't even know it would be a book to start with.
Wow.
So I was just doing it in college for fun. And I'm assisting this very famous crime writer, Hussain Zaidi.
Of course.
So he read a few chapters and sent it across to my publishers, who then eventually published it. So I was writing it for fun, and then it became a book. And then it just, it kept surprising me one step at a time. And a platform like Netflix with Red Chillies and people like Gaurav and SRK and all of them attached to it, I wouldn't have even thought of it.
Now, Gaurav, there are very few people who are able to strike this delicate balance between the creative side and the business side. What's your philosophy on ensuring that the business person in you doesn't come in the way of the creative guy in you, and vice versa?
Two different roles. I think when on the business side, you don't smell too many things, you just sell it. I'm simplifying it. On the creative side, it's a longer process. It's a process where you have to build a team, you have to work with various set of people who have different ideas, to keep them together, to keep them motivated, so that they keep walking towards the right direction. I think that's the challenging part. But that's also the fun part. So more of the creative person, I'm kind of a glue which keeps the process together. On the business side, you evaluate the content based on, business is also easier now. You have got empirical data, you've got data available, you have satellite, you have TV, you've got digital, you have got theatrical, India, international, you've got music. So the multiple revenue sources which we have, so it becomes simpler. But in terms of creative, it's a much longer process, and the chances of what will work, what will not work. As you said, you have to make a pitch first. The idea has to be created, then idea has to be sold across within the organization, then outside the organization to the partners. So it's a much longer process where you can see much more failure.
Bilal, were there anxious moments during the making कि यार पता नहीं मैंने किताब तो ये लिखी है, अब screenplay में ये है, अब video में ये बन रहा है, because a lot changes, right? So were there anxious moments कि पता नहीं यार कैसे होगा?
Not anxiety per se, but a milder form of nervousness, in the sense that, okay, now this book would not have had such a big base by itself, but now it's going to reach out to 190 odd countries via a platform like Netflix. So that's always at the back of your mind when you're working. But the show was then the book was then adapted into a show by Mayank Tiwari, the writer.
Sure.
Then Ribu stepped in, he had his vision. The two of us were always there at every stage. Then you have an actor like Imran step in. So it just kept, getting a lot of good creative minds and great talent onto the show. Uh, so from there, it just started becoming, everyone became stakeholders there, and then it started, becoming a lot more reassuring to me that this is turning out to be something better than the book also.
It's a fabulous cast that you guys have put together. Casting must have been a fascinating ride. I mean, to get actors with such a variety of personalities and vibes, how did this cast come together? That must have been quite a journey in itself.
I think it goes back to writing. If you write good characters, you can excite people to work with you. Eventually, it boils down to writing. I think credit to Mayank, credit to Bilal to write those characters. That we could reach out to various actors and convince them to play the part. So it's for them to have 8-9 characters who have different arcs, who have different stories. Some are overlapping, some are colliding, some are clashing. There are conflicts, but still every character has a complete arc. Every character is exciting. You are investing in everyone. Whether there's an antagonist, you come back liking the antagonist for the person he is, person that he believes, the thought process that he believes in. So if you write well, it becomes easier. Then of course, I think today there's a lot of work happening outside. So to convince everyone, to bring them on board, and in a way, for us, I think we had certainty in terms of that we would like to cast Imran. I think we waited for some time. I think that Bilal has an existing relationship with Imran. He launched the book. It was easier at that point of time in terms of access. But at the same point of time, you have to go out and tell him it's not the book, it's the screenplay adaptation. Yeah. So I think a couple of episodes were shared with him, and which he really liked. And gradually we started casting one by one by one.
Was there a temptation to get, for the smaller parts, the parts of the terrorists, to get actors from Balochistan, Pakistan, to get that authentic Pashto accent right? Although our actors have done a fabulous job, but was there no temptation to say, yaar, wahan se leke aate hain?
See, you're telling a story. It's a fictional story. And, the beauty of actors is that they can adapt. So Imran is not a spy in real life, but he adapts really well and fast to the character that he's playing.
He's a good one.
Likewise for Vineet, likewise for Jaydeep, likewise for Kirti, likewise for Shobita. I think all these are fantastic actors who can adapt. So for them, localization is their key. I think they do their homework and come back and localize.
There must have been a million learnings for you, Bilal. So when you sit down to write your next book, are you already going to think video, web series, movie subconsciously?
It's not the right way to approach a book, but you can't deny that it's at the back of your mind. So the aim is to, now the readership bases have also dropped because not too many people read anymore. So you have to write, even when you write books, you have to kind of know that you're competing with web, you're competing with films. Yeah. That's been there. Even more so now, especially since digital platforms have entered. So it's going to be there at the back of my mind, but I'm going to try to maintain the sanctity of writing novels also. So I've just completed one, in fact, and hopefully that's struck the right balance, I think.
Whether he carries the pressure or not, but he'll have a lot of external pressure for sure.
Yeah.
Lots of calls coming in, bhai, kitab de de
After
picture
that, definitely.
I hope
yeah.
it's a good problem to have.
Now, the economics of a film, I'm assuming, work very different from that of a web series. And in India, there is a certain uptake, a certain demand for spy stories, especially those that have a Pakistan/ISI connection. Were you not at all tempted, or was Shahrukh not tempted to say, yaar, picture banate hain?
No, not really. I think, idea dictate karega or decide karega कि ये short format में जाएगा, बड़े format में जाएगा. It is not our choice. The story has to lend itself, or I think organically, we can't contain it or probably extend it for longer format. So just to simplify, that probably decides, not us. We may have a certain liking, but if you think there's a story which can be conveyed in a shorter format, which is a feature film, I think, but to convert that into a series, that much more effort will go into writing that many more pages.
In fact, I think it's also very character driven, our show. So this show, this story is set in Balochistan. The next, if there is another season, or when there is another season, that could be set in another place, but the characters will still drive that. So it's we didn't think of Pakistan and /ISA, as we called it, in our show. We've not thought of that really as much as an interesting journey of our characters. So that's what matters, I think. Every good show is only good if the characters are good.
Apart from Imran, who's of course headlining the show, do you have a character that's closer to your heart than the others?
Vinny's character, Veer, one of my favorites. A lot of people who read the book loved him more than the protagonist.
Wow.
I personally really like him too. Then there's a new character, Jannat. She's played by Katie.
Magic.
So she's not in the book, but she's someone we created for the show. She's I think someone that really elevates the narrative.
Now, Gaurav, I'm not sure if there are any quantifiable metrics to measure the success of a digital property. What's your yardstick and what is Shahrukh's yardstick? क्या ये show successful हुआ या नहीं हुआ? How do you measure it?
See, these days I think a lot get to know from social media. See, Netflix may or may not choose to share numbers. I think it's up to them. For us, I think thanks to social media, there's a lot of conversation which happens. I think a lot of people, those who like or dislike the show, do express on social platforms. So you're kind of aware, and if Netflix comes back to us next year saying, or maybe this year saying that let's make season 2, we'll think probably it's doing well.
I believe Shahrukh was at the premiere, and what did he say? Has he seen all 7?
He's seen.
And what did he say?
I think he likes it.
Specifics?
So I think at this point of time, he will not reveal. He has been really excited. He's been really thrilled. He has, I think, sent a lot of good messages to us. But it will be unfair for me to say at this point of time. Of course, he likes it.
Of course he does. He looked happy.
He was pretty hands-on in the post, in every stage.
So it's not for him a surprise that, it's
so
that he's seeing
it's
all
not like
the
he's seen
finished
the
one.
narrative, he's seen it grow from the pitch to the show. So he's as much a part of the show, right? In the sense that he's seen the journey. So obviously it's not going to be, hey, I've seen it and loved it. It's just going to be messages that are between us,
And actually, as much we are involved, he's kind of equally involved because we keep going back to him. Okay, here's the reference background. Here's something that we would like to do. Here's the screenplay now. Do you have a feedback on this? Here are the beat sheets. Here's the first cut. So we have input from him at every stage. So he owns it as much, I think, more than we do in that, every way. So it'd be unfair to say whether he likes it. It's his baby, so
Right.
of course he loves it.
Your favorite character, favorite scene, both of you, from the 7 episodes?
I think, as you said, I think Veer and Jannat's character,
Right.
they are really good. Also, the character which I really like is Jaideep's character. I mean, the way he has played Shehzad, I mean, that takes the show to next level because he's that much competitive, that much assertive, that much in control and want to dictate the entire piece.
Is there a scene for the both of you that you think this show will be remembered for? That one iconic moment that defines Bar of Blood for you?
I think I'll say it for myself, we started this from a pitch. To convert this into a show, I think that's the most memorable thing for us. Audience will decide. I mean, we have made whatever we could do now. I think it's up to them to like or dislike the show. I hope they like it. Fingers crossed. So far, as they say in election, शुरुआती रुझान तो अच्छे हैं. Let's see.
But the numbers are coming in as well. But is there a favorite scene for you?
There are several, but if I were to pick, I think the face-off between Kabir and Shehzad. It's, I think, very interesting because the story culminates at that point. So whoever will watch it will obviously know what I mean. But I think that's a very intriguing and nail-biting finish.
For those who have watched it and the ones who are going to watch, the only question that's going to come your way is, bhai, season 2 का क्या scene है? और लाना ही पड़ेगा अब तो. Without revealing much about the end, of course.
See, अगर ऐसा सवाल आता है और Netflix से आता है तो बहुत अच्छा होगा.
I'm sure it's coming. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.